Welcome to KKM, episode number 8. Hi. Hey, what happened to my hair? Huh, I'm feeling very simplified. What's going on? Konnichiwa. Hey there, Os. It's time. It's time for imagining kanji images. Are you ready? Shall we begin? KKM. Karate Kanji Madness. Episode number 8. This is Karate Kanji Madness with me, Sensei Ray Snyder. Karate Kanji Madness with me, Sensei Ray Snyder, Episode 8, Learning to Recognize Shotokan. Disclaimer. Note, in these Karate Kanji Madness lessons, the subject of stroke order is not discussed. The attempt here is only to make the kanji images more recognizable and to do it in a fun way, especially to martial arts students who are particularly interested in Japan. Note, learning how to correctly write the stroke order of kanji is a whole separate area of study. It's important and it involves knowing the correct direction and order, but you can find many videos and articles already online to teach you stroke order if you're interested in doing so. Note, I'm a gaijin. I'm a foreigner, a non-native person. I'm an outsider. The word is composed of two kanji being gai, which means outside, and jin, which means person. I love Japan and its people, but I'm not Japanese, and I never will be. I understand that. That's fine. That's okay. I appreciate Japan. I appreciate its people and its culture. If you were not born in Japan, you were probably not taught in school by repetition, requiring you to write out hundreds of kanji over and over again individually until you remembered them. But what if you're just interested in learning some of the most common karate kanji? What are your options to learn? Note, in this cartoon, what's being written over and over again is the kanji for sheep. Episode number 8, Shotokan. Shotokan, and you'll notice there's 3 kanji that we're going to be discussing in this episode. Look a little closely, Shotokan, at the kanji, and we're going to break it down and talk about it. This is the Shotokan tiger. The tiger is the symbol for Shotokan, and it was the animal that was chosen by the founder, Gichin Funakoshi. It represents power and strength, determination, the ability to never give up, to never stop trying, and to pursue a chosen goal. Gichin Funakoshi selected the tiger to be drawn in lines to represent the tiger's stripes. He chose not to have a complete body outline. He chose many lines to show the tiger is made up of many parts. If you looked at the lines alone individually, they wouldn't be recognized as a tiger, but when all the parts are seen together, a tiger appears. There's a lesson in seeing that the complete system is made up of many parts. These parts can be thought of as instructors, students, training halls, exercise programs, kicks, punches, blocks, pressure points, joint locks, stances, strikes, throwing techniques, controlling techniques, katas, which are forms, kihon, which is basics, kumite, which is sparring, bunkai, which is self-defense, and many more. So let's get started. Shotokan. I just want to point out in these episodes, I'll be drawing or representing textbook quality type of kanji, as opposed to looking on the right side, which would be calligraphy, which is the handwritten artistic form of the kanji. But for these episodes, we'll look at the textbook where it's easier for us to see. With experience, with learning, you'll be able to look and hopefully stretch your brain to see the two. Again, I jokingly call it doctor's handwriting. Let's start with an overview of Shotokan. Shotokan, again, is a combination of three main characters. Sho is the first character, and that means basically pine. The second character, basically means waves, the toe. We've got Sho, toe. The third character is kan, as in Shotokan, and kan means house or hall. So what is Shotokan? Well, it's a style of karate which is called Shotokan. The founder is Gichin Funakoshi, who lived from about 1868 to 1957. He wasn't born in Japan. He was born on a small island called Okinawa, which is located south of Japan. Gichin Funakoshi was a writer, and he wrote under the pen name of Shoto. His writing pen name basically means wind in the pines. He loved to hear the sound of the wind blowing through the pine trees near him, so he used it as a name. It was his inspiration. What I think is very cool is his students put up a sign above his first formal training building, and it said Shotokan, which means Shoto's house or Shoto's school. I know, we're going to get to the kanji, but I just couldn't help myself. A little history. Gichin Funakoshi, again, 1868 to 1957. He's best known for introducing Karate-Do to the world by demonstrations and the promotion of university karate clubs. He accomplished much in his 89 years. He had many students, and after his death, they continued to teach Karate-Do. But due to differences of opinion, different factions developed so that there is not just one single Shotokan school taught or style taught today. Instead, there are variations that all trace their roots back to his original influence. I want to mention, too, his son, who lived from 1906 to 1945, contributed a lot while his father was alive. Sadly, he died at the age of 39. But while he was alive, with his father's help and the help of other students, he was actually accountable for greatly advancing the development of Karate-Do and karate techniques. All right, without further ado, let's get into the kanji. So what is sho? Sho means pine tree or public tree. Note, the on, which is borrowed Chinese reading for the kanji, is sho. Note, the kun, the Japanese reading for the same kanji, is matsu. On the left, I've drawn a character of a pine tree, and on the right is the kanji that represents a tree. Look closely and remember it. I couldn't help myself. I'm giving you some extra trivia. What I just showed you up in the left corner is tree and the kanji for it. And then if you look a little bit to the right, you'll see a tree again, but now you're looking underground. You're seeing the roots. So look at the tree symbol on the far right. See the little spot I put brown on it? That little dashed line represents the roots or the basis. And that kanji, although it looks like tree, it's in black down in the bottom center. The kanji hon is what it's called. Every kanji has a name, and it has different meanings. It has root or basis or book or standard. In this case, it represents the basics or the foundation of karate as used in kihon. But I digress. Let me get back on track. So try to have this image in your mind. Imagine a public place. There's trees, pine trees, public trees, and there's a speaker, some type of a charismatic public figure who's got a captive crowd in front of him. Isolate his face. We're going to simplify it, and this is the image to hold on to for the kanji for public. Almost there. It's simplified. Look at the center of the face. This is the kanji for public. Kanji is actually made up the top of the symbol that means divide or split, and the bottom is made up of self or private, like a nose. And in Japan, I understand when somebody's talking about themselves and they're going to point to themselves, they're going to point to their nose. Think of this kanji for public. Think of it as a private place that's being opened up. Think of a person opening up to others as another option, or think of doors opening and the public is coming in. So here we have the first kanji for Shotokan, for the show part of it. Here's a tree on the left. Think of a tree, and then plus public, and that equals a public tree, and a public tree equals a pine tree, and it equals pine. Two previous cartoons, the tree and the public person, and here's the kanji for show. The green shows the kanji for a pine tree, the symbol, and then the symbol on the right for public. Coming to the next part of Shotokan, what is to? It means waves or wind. I find this one a little difficult, but hopefully this will be helpful to you. This one is made up of two kanji. On the left side is a radical for water. There's different symbols or kanji for water, but the 1, 2, 3 strokes are the radical. That means water on the left. And on the right is a symbol for longevity. So the total kanji implies the sound of the wind, and that the wind is like the waves of the sea and how it flows. These are imagined as pine waves, or the waves are the motion of the air moving through the pine needles and the resultant sound. Here are the kanji for the middle part of Shotokan. On the left is the radical for water. On the right is the symbol for longevity. Start with looking at water. A little character here to give the image in the mind of water. The three dark blue areas are the kanji itself. Let's start seeing a pine tree and waves of air passing through it. To visualize everything a little bit better. The wind in the trees makes a rushing sound. Let's look at the third part of the kanji for Shotokan. And what is kan? Basically, kan means a large building or a hall, or in this case, a school. Let's look at the three main parts that make up this kanji, which is basically eat, roof, and buttocks. The top left-hand corner is the kanji, and the left part of it is the symbol for eating or food. Visualize a roof and food in the center and chopsticks underneath it. Here is the kanji for, again, eat or food. Visualize a roof on the very top. Picture the food in the center, and then chopsticks on the very bottom, or hashi. Side, there's a couple portions of this kanji. The very top that the arrow's coming from is the symbol for roof. I find comical. The symbol actually means a government official or government or big buttocks. And there's a guy who's eating way too much, and it's showing. There's that right side of the kanji, buttocks, government official. These two parts together. On the left, think of a dining room, and it's in a large government building. And there's the large government employee sitting and enjoying a meal, and he's getting large as a result of it. Kanji on the left is the roof with the food and the hashi, the chopsticks. On the right is the roof, and then the person with the big buttocks sitting there eating. So let's do a recap and try to put it all together. Here are the cartoons I've drawn. On the very top, the pine tree and the public official. They come together and they make a pine tree, and the pine tree is the public tree in a public square. In the center is the idea for large waves and the sound of the waves or the wind going through the trees, and it's used here as large waves of sound or the sound of the wind in the pines. And then the bottom is representative of a hall or a school or a public building. Think of a public building and public employees sitting eating in the public building. But in the case for Shotokan, that last part means school. Finally, here are all of the kanji for Shotokan. Pine tree up in the top left with public for pine, and then the middle is representative of the sound of the wind through the pine trees, and on the bottom is a symbol for a school or a hall. I put another symbol in here because you'll see it a lot on Shotokan patches. There's a traditional kanji for longevity or congratulations, which is the one that's used in the middle of Shotokan. And there's a difference there between the alternative and the more traditional, kind of FYI. Right. In each of the episodes that I've done for KKM, I try to give a little bit of my own perspective, my own small, short soapbox, and unnamed martial arts. To my understanding, the founder, Gichin Funakoshi, never gave a name to his teachings. He referred to his teachings simply as karate, but he did create or coin that term. Out of deep respect, his students called his first formal school as the Hall of Shoto or Shotokan or the School of Shoto. Title. Basically, Shotokan is a title for a building surrounded by pine trees. It's a karate school. It's a Shoto school. I'm going to ramble a little bit. I promise I'm trying to keep it short. The third category I put down on my perspective is Shotokan Plus. I know we all have differences of opinion about martial arts. I love Shotokan and I teach 100% Shotokan. I think it's a great style. However, I do supplement my personal teaching by adding additional techniques I've acquired from a lifetime of being involved in martial arts. Techniques I believe that are important. I began in judo as a child. It was back in the late 1950s. I studied Kung Fu Sansu as a teenager in the late 60s. And as a young adult, a middle-aged adult, and then finally a seasoned adult, I have been involved in Shorin-ryu, where I earned a brown belt, which is Okinawan martial arts. Had a friend who had a Hapkido studio I used to work out with. Used to work out in Aikido as a result of my son's wrestling coach. Jiu-jitsu got involved with because both my sons are really passionate about jiu-jitsu and really like it. I have another friend who has quite a history in ninjutsu, and I've gone and worked out with them multiple times. I enjoy that. In the past, I was with an organization called PUMA, Pacific Unified Martial Arts, and the founder lived in the same community I did, and I used to spend some time in his studio, and that has some fond memories. Another instructor teaches Japanese swordsmanship, and I've been involved in that. And then there's other things in my background that I'm not going to include in this writing. Try to keep this brief. But I feel it's important that my students have an appreciation for other disciplines and to know what to expect from other martial artists who don't happen to train in Shotokan. So from time to time, I'll deviate a little bit and I'll give a lesson about other disciplines. And I like doing that, frankly. This episode is winding to an end. I'm hoping that, can you now read the karate patches? Can you see the tiger? Can you see the three parts of it? The Shotokan? Can you bring the images or the cartoons I gave you to try to visualize what those symbols are? I hope that's fun to you. I hope it helps. Up in the top left of this slide is the three kanji, Shotokan, and then written in, looks like hiragana, Shotokan. And anyways, I'm hoping that those cartoons put an image in your mind, so that's just a fun way to remember. Here, Shotokan Karate Do, episode 8. This episode that's just finishing on the right there is the Shotokan, and episode 1 of the series of KKM is about Karate Do. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Presenting a lesson gives me an opportunity to research kanji and to present information which is interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you also. Look for other lessons. Your support is motivating to me to help me create more. Matane. See ya. See the KKM website for more information and more details. Matane.